Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Crazy Tech Reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the new YouTube studio. Now this is a video that I've sort of been wanting to do for a long time and sort of get to show you guys the building process of this place and sort of talk a bit about it. However, due to other things, it's sort of been put off and stuff like that. Plus, a lot of you guys have been requesting me to sort of show off like the construction of the new studio. So I figured I'd do that in today's video. Now, I will like to admit that I did accidentally lose some of the footage from later on in the process, and some of it I got kind of lazy with regarding filming, because I just sort of wanted to get it done. But I have a good portion of footage of me building this very area here, and I hope this turns out to make a good video. So anyway, with that said, hope you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and get right into this. So, this here was the YouTube studio that I used up until recently, and for the most part I was pretty happy with it. I mean, it looked good, it worked well for the most part. However, there were a few major issues with this space that really just killed it for me. For one, if you go ahead and look here, you can see my closet door sits right behind the workbench, and the issue is when you try to open some of these doors, the bench just gets in the way, and you can't really open them up. Plus, also, it makes it really hard to move and put things in the in this closet here if there's, you know, a big folding table in front of it. So that's definitely one thing that needs to change with the new setup. Something else that's quite an issue regarding the space is the fact that regarding how I slide back behind here, as you can see, there's really only this tiny little 5 or 6 inch gap or so right here on this side that I can barely squeeze behind, but it's really uncomfortable and definitely not convenient, because when you have stuff on the desk, it typically gets knocked off. Now, I could move the desk, but the issue is if I did that, then it would also affect the camera angle, because the camera can't really go any further back than I already have the tripod due to the other furniture in the room. So I really need somewhere else to do all this. Plus, another issue with this space is the fact that this room is a finished room. It's my bedroom, so I can't really industrialize it in a way to add things like camera racks and stuff that might make it more easy to produce content. So that's another thing that really needs to change about this space. So really, I just need sort of a room that I can dedicate entirely to my YouTube channel and sort of use for, you know, all my YouTube stuff. Now, it also happened to be around this time that we were cleaning out some of the rooms down in the basement, and I thought about possibly using the storage room to do my YouTube stuff. I mean, after all, it is a perfect room, as it's not really finished or anything, and I could pretty much do anything I want with it as far as creating like a first actual professional looking YouTube setup. And sure enough, that's what ended up happening. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, sort of the construction process of the new Crazy Tech Reviews YouTube studio. So that said, let's go ahead and get right into this. Anyway, I figured I'd go ahead and start off this video by showing you guys the room that my new studio is going to be in, starting back in this corner here. This here is a little corner table that I've used in the past several times for attending podcasts and live streaming and so on, but anyway, moving over to the other corner of the room here, this is where I plan on actually building the new studio and everything. Currently sitting here is this little model train table we built some time back. However, this is going to have to move somewhere else, as I do plan on building the new workbench and everything right here in this corner. Anyway, behind me at this current moment, I didn't really record it because I wasn't planning on building it, but this behind me is where the new editing desk will end up being. However, that wasn't planned at this point in time. Moving over this way, as you can see here, we have some shelving units. Now, currently there's just a bunch of miscellaneous items. However, I do eventually plan on organizing all this stuff and getting rid of some of it, and eventually putting tools and cleaning supplies and other computer stuff on that. Anyway, the first order of business as far as the actual transformation of this room is to get rid of this corner table, so that way we can move this model train table into the place of that. So with that said, we went ahead and started removing all the screws and everything and lifting the old desktop here off. And this is actually a pretty nice desktop too. It's pretty hefty and everything, but yeah, it's gotta go for now. And after that, we came back and got rid of these filing cabinets also. Anyway, after the main desk was removed, I came back and removed some of the remaining brackets and stuff that were holding it onto the wall, which was pretty simple, fortunately. And we went ahead and removed the rest of the little folding wall thing that we had here. I also went ahead and cleared out these boxes, that way we could scoot back the train table that we need to move back further. And as you can see, those are all moved now. I also went ahead and pulled out the vacuum cleaner and vacuumed up the floor in this area since it was pretty messy at the time, but there was a lot of stuff that accumulated back here over the years. And then once that was all done, we went ahead and scooted back this freaking train table, which weighs like a freaking ton. So yeah, anyway, skipping forward a bit, we currently have the folding wall thing moved back over to the new studio area, and I'm currently painting in some of the paint where the original white paint of these doors was showing through. And here's what it looks like as of now after pretty much most of the stuff that needs to be moved has been moved. Alright, so anyway, now that all the heavy lifting and stuff has been done, it's time for me to actually get to work constructing the YouTube setup. Now, the first thing I'm doing here is taking some electrical tape and just basically marking out where I'm going to install the new shelves that I plan on putting up in this room. And basically, a while back, I came up sort of with this concept in SketchUp here, where I'd sort of have these 3 staggered shelves sort of on each wall, just like so, and that's sort of what I'm trying to replicate here. Anyway, here's the finished electrical tape here on the walls. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is take one of the shelves I'm going to install on here and put it on this piece of paper real quick, and then trace out around the edges. Now, basically what I'm trying to do here is sort of create like a template that I can put on the wall to mark out where I want to install the shelf so that I sort of know like where it's going to go. But anyway, the next thing here I'm going to do is cut out the template here, and then after that's all done, I'll go ahead and mark some holes in here so that I know where the screws are. And there you can see the holes I put in it. Anyway, going over to the wall, I'm also going to go ahead and mark these holes on the wall with a pencil here now that I know where I want the shelf to go. And then I'll go ahead and install some screws, and then unfortunately it turns out these screws were actually too big, so I ended up having to take them back off and install some smaller screws, which fortunately worked just fine, and I was able to install all 3 shelves using these. And anyway, here you can see the finished shelves there, and they look pretty good actually. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to do that I typically do on shelves like this is put down some of this, it's almost like a rubbery material, but basically it's used to keep like furniture from moving, and I find it really handy for keeping things like keyboards and stuff that I want to prop up on these shelves from slipping off and falling to the floor. And so I'll go ahead and put 2 of these down on each shelf, as well as just some traditional rubber feet, just in case those don't work. And now that the shelves were installed, I started sort of playing around with what I wanted to put on them. And I was originally going to put my computers on here like so, however, eventually I decided that I wouldn't, as over in height, the TI-99 actually fell off, and fortunately it wasn't damaged, but I decided to not take the risk and put those computers instead on the other shelves, which are most likely going to be more sturdy. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is paint the ductwork here and this I-beam. Now, the main reason for this is if you look at my primary camera angle here, you can see that it does actually somewhat show up in the frame. So, in order to prevent it from standing out as much, I decided to go ahead and paint the entire duct pipe and I-beam black for the most part, so that it stood out less. And as you can see, it actually turned out pretty good. Here's the finished result. As you can see, it has this really nice matte finish on it, and overall I'm really happy with how this ended up looking. Anyway, moving back over to the original design, you might have remembered these 3 shelves over here that I said I was going to build. Well, that's the next thing I want to do here. So, for the most part, I'm just going to do these with the same methods that I used to build the other 3. However, instead of using those other pre-built shelves, I'm going to be building my own for these, and I cut up this board into 3 equal-sized pieces, and I'm going to be hanging those on the wall using these L brackets here that I bought at the hardware store. Anyway, the first thing I want to do is measure out these L brackets and screw them into each shelf. I'm just using normal screws for this, nothing too special. And yeah, I'll go ahead and pre that on the other shelves. And next thing I want to do is mark out where I need to drill the holes in the concrete to mount these shelves into the wall. And once I got that marked out, it was time to go ahead and drill it. And to drill the holes in the wall here, I'm using this masonry bit here that was appropriately sized for the screws I'm going to use. And I went ahead and just drilled all 4 holes for this one shelf just to sort of see how things went. And as you can see, I forgot to film much else of it, but here's the shelf installed. So I went ahead and drilled all the rest of the holes I needed to drill to install all the remaining shelves. Yeah, here's that. And since drilling into concrete does create a lot of dust, I went ahead and vacuumed up all the dust that accumulated on all the surfaces. And this is basically the point where I stopped filming the construction of this place up until a few weeks ago. Now, since then, obviously, I've done several things. The first thing that I had to do was, at this point, since all the shelving and everything was up, was put all the decorations I wanted to put up on the shelving, all the keyboards and vintage computers I wanted to hang up, and then I had to demolish or take down the old studio. And really, mainly all that was simply moving the workbench down to here, which I did record, however I deleted it because I ran out of space. But anyway, I will go ahead and show you guys a picture of what the studio looks like now after everything's gone. As you can see, it's pretty empty and everything. But after that, I also painted the wall here on the right to be more of a beigeish, sort of grayish color, which I think looks pretty nice and definitely looks good with the black wall and everything. And yeah, that's pretty much most of the stuff that happened that I didn't really film. So anyway, that's it. Let's go ahead and get into some of the other stuff that I did actually film. Now, one of the things I've been wanting to build for quite some time now is some form of overhead camera rack. Now, I've tried many different materials such as wood, pipes, you name it, and I just cannot come up with a design that works. However, recently I was messing around with some of this IKEA cardboard, and I came up with this sort of idea to basically build these sort of rack things out of the cardboard here, and this is fairly thick cardboard too, so it's pretty sturdy. And then I created this crazy contraption here, which is basically just a Dollar Tree cell phone or selfie stick with this block of cardboard mounted on the end, and just traditional phone clip mount thing, as well as a screw for any traditional camera or anything that uses a traditional tripod screw. And basically the concept here is that this would slide into these racks here that I built out of the cardboard, and of course this would be mounted up on the ceiling, so it would look more like so. And then of course you could reposition this wherever you wanted to. And so I mounted one of these up on the ceiling, and at first I tried using hot glue, but then eventually it fell down, so I moved on to using screws with a sheet of cardboard, just because if you drill it directly into the cardboard on the back of the rack thing, it would just tear right through. So I wanted some way to evenly distribute the pressure more. But as you can see here, it did hold up pretty well, and they're still working to this day. And overall, I mounted a total of 4 of these on the ceiling. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. They work fairly well, as you'll see up here in a minute. And honestly, it's not the best way to do this, obviously. It's not the most sturdy and good-looking way, but I'm pretty happy with it. And as you can see, I tried messing around with the camera on the top-down angle, and as you can see, it seems to work pretty good. I'm having some trouble keeping the camera from slipping back downwards. That's the selfie stick's fault, not the actual mount itself, so I can just get a different selfie stick and it might work better. But overall, I think it turned out pretty nice for what it is. So yeah, you will probably be seeing some different camera angles and stuff in the future videos that I've already used this on, so yeah, stay tuned for that. Now, I've been having issues getting light back into the corner of the setup and everything, and making everything as light as I wanted it, so I put up these 2 floodlights here. Now basically, these are just any generic sort of clip-on lamp fixture thing that you can pick up at really any hardware store, and I basically mounted 2 of these facing back towards the setup, and then I sort of ran this extension cord here up from this sort of extension cord there, where I get all the power since there's no real outlets in this corner of the room. And then I ran it up here on top of this lamp fixture, or this other sort of workshop light thing, where both of these 2 individual floodlights plug right into the extension cord here, as you can see. Now, yes, I know this probably isn't the safest way to do this. However, I pretty much turn off all the power to this area of the room pretty much every time I go up to bed or leave, and if I am going to be gone for a while. So in the event that anything did get out of control here or catch fire, I'd basically be right there to put it out or take care of it. So I'm not really too worried about anything like that happening. So yeah, but for the most part, these lights definitely work pretty well for me, and I'm really glad to have them there. So yeah, with that said, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for the first part of this video. Now, I do plan on doing a part 2 where I come back and, first of all, if any of you remember that big heavy desktop that you saw me removing at the beginning of the video, well, I've actually planned on possibly turning that into the new desk surface for the new workbench. That's right, I'm finally going to be replacing this folding table with something a bit more nice. But for now, this is pretty much all that's going to be taking place in this video. However, in the next part of this, obviously, we're going to be doing the workbench, as well as I might be showing you a few other things that I've put in this room, because obviously, this main corner here isn't all that's taking place here in the new studio. There's also the editing desk and various other things that we'll get into then. And then finally, in the third part in this, if we get this far, I might possibly be doing a tour of the entire room as a whole and just showing you guys everything. If not, that will be at the end of the second part. And also something that's pretty exciting too is there's actually a chance we might be partitioning off this entire area where my YouTube studio is and making it its own individual room. And in that case, we'll figure out how that's going to fit into this whole video series later on down the road. But anyway, for now, in the second part, we're mainly going to be tackling the workbench situation and some other things that need to be built around the rest of the room. And in the third part, if it isn't going to be put in the second part, we're going to be doing the tour. Anyway, with that said, before we go ahead and close off this episode, I'd like to go ahead and give everybody a massive thanks, as we've almost hit 200 subscribers as the time this is being recorded. Now, for all I know, we could already have been past 200 subscribers by the time this video goes up. But yeah, I'd like to go ahead and thank you guys all a ton for all your support and all your help for the past almost 3 years now, actually. Actually, today is the 3-year anniversary of the channel. I just about forgot. So thank you guys all for all the support you've given me over the years and everything like that. And with that said, I hope to keep on doing this as long as I can. I'm very excited to have this brand new space that I can now film all my videos. Of course, as the time this has been recorded, I've had this for months. But anyway, I can't thank you guys enough for all the support you've given me. And with that said, see you guys all in the next video. And also, for anybody who is wondering, I'm still planning on doing the Mercantile stuff. It's just kind of gotten pushed to the side with this video. And I've been really busy these past few weeks, so I haven't really had time to even focus on anything YouTube related. But anyway, that said, there's a lot coming in the future, a lot of new exciting videos. And with that said, I'll see you guys all next time. Thanks for watching.